If you're watching this video right now, check your phone. Go ahead, I'll wait. Now imagine finding out that everything in it, every photo, every memory, every moment you've captured with your loved ones, was built on a lie. That's exactly what happened to Gabriel Santos, owner of Orlando's famous Santos restaurant group, when a simple Father's Day gift exposed a decade of deception that would ultimately end in bloodshed at one of Florida's most prestigious country clubs. The year was 2021, and Gabriel Santos was living what many would consider the American success story. A first-generation immigrant who had built a restaurant empire spanning across Central Florida, he had it all. A stunning mansion in Orlando's exclusive Windermere community, a beautiful wife Elena, who served as chief of cardiology at Advent Health Orlando, and twin daughters about to graduate from Princeton. His restaurants were featured in Florida tourism commercials, and his face graced the covers of business magazines. He was, by all accounts, Orlando's golden boy. But on Father's Day 2021, his daughters decided to give him something special, a premium ancestry testing kit from one of those popular DNA companies. They thought it would be fun to trace their Spanish heritage, maybe discover some interesting connections to their family's roots in Barcelona. Instead, they uncovered a truth that would trigger a chain of events leading to murder at the prestigious Lake Nona Golf and Country Club. When the results came back, they revealed something impossible. Gabriel Santos had no biological connection to either of his daughters. At first, he assumed it was a mistake. He ordered multiple paternity tests, each one confirming the devastating truth. His perfect life was about to unravel in ways that would shock Orlando's elite social circles and expose a web of corruption reaching into the highest levels of the city's medical establishment. The truth, when it finally emerged, was more devastating than anyone could have imagined. Elena Santos had been involved in a years-long affair with Dr. Julian Rivera, the hospital's celebrated fertility specialist and Gabriel's personal friend. But this wasn't just any affair. Rivera had used his position at the fertility clinic to ensure he would be the biological father of the twins, all while maintaining a close friendship with the Santos family, attending their daughters' birthdays, their graduations, even family vacations to their beach house in the Keys. Security footage from the Santos estate captured the moment Elena finally confessed. For 6 hours, their smart home system recorded the destruction of a 20-year marriage. But what initially appeared to be a simple, if tragic case of infidelity would soon reveal something far more sinister lurking beneath the surface of Orlando's medical community. As Gabriel's life began to crumble, his restaurant suffering as he turned to alcohol, his reputation tarnishing with each public outburst, Dr. Rivera seemed to take a perverse pleasure in watching the destruction. He began showing up at Santos family events uninvited, making cryptic comments at charity galas, and even attempting to counsel the twins through their family crisis. This bizarre behavior would later be understood as part of a larger pattern that had played out across multiple families in Orlando's affluent medical community. Then, on a sweltering August evening in 2021, during the Lake Nona Club Championship dinner, Dr. Julian Rivera's body was found floating in the signature 18th hole water hazard. The scene was grotesque. Multiple blunt force traumas, defensive wounds, and evidence suggesting he had been alive when he entered the water. This wasn't a random act of violence. It was an execution disguised as a country club accident. Gabriel Santos, given his recent public meltdowns and obvious motive, became the immediate focus of the investigation. But as detectives from the Orlando Police Department began digging deeper into Rivera's life, they discovered something that would turn the entire case on its head. Hidden files revealing a sophisticated medical fraud scheme dating back 15 years. Dr. Rivera hadn't just been having affairs. He had been systematically using his position at the fertility clinic to secretly father children with patients, all while gathering compromising information about Orlando's most prominent families. The information was then used to extort millions through an elaborate network of offshore accounts and cryptocurrency transactions. The Santos family was just one piece of a larger puzzle. Rivera had been threatening to expose not just the truth about the twins' paternity, but evidence of financial irregularities in the Santos Restaurant Group's books, irregularities that Rivera himself had helped orchestrate through his blackmail scheme. Gabriel wasn't just being betrayed. He was being systematically destroyed by someone he had trusted with both his family's future and his business's integrity. The trial that followed in early 2022 captivated Florida's attention. The prosecution painted Gabriel as a calculating killer who had murdered Rivera to protect his empire. The defense, however, revealed the psychological torture Gabriel had endured. Weekly emails threatening exposure, manipulated financial records, and the systematic destruction of everything he had spent his life building. Perhaps the most shocking testimony came from Elena herself, who revealed how Rivera had manipulated her during a vulnerable period in her residency, using hospital protocols and his position of authority to begin a relationship that would eventually give him leverage over both her career and her family. She described a man who had spent decades crafting a persona of the caring, brilliant doctor, while secretly orchestrating the destruction of multiple families for his own profit. The jury deliberated for 5 days before reaching their verdict. Gabriel Santos was found guilty of second-degree murder, acknowledging that while the killing was intentional, it was the result of extreme emotional distress and ongoing psychological torture. The judge, citing the extraordinary circumstances, sentenced him to 20 years with the possibility of parole after 12 years, a sentence that sparked debate across Florida's legal community. But Rivera's death was just the beginning of a larger reckoning within Orlando's medical community. In the months following the trial, an independent investigation revealed that at least 7 other families had been victims of Rivera's fertility fraud. Advent Health faced multiple lawsuits, leading to a complete overhaul of their fertility clinic protocols and the establishment of one of the nation's strictest genetic verification programs. The Santos twins, now forced to confront questions about their own identity, established a support network for other children of fertility fraud, working to change Florida laws regarding genetic deception and medical malpractice. Elena Santos, though initially ostracized by Orlando society, became an advocate for medical ethics reform, using her position to push for stronger oversight of fertility clinics across the state. From behind prison walls, Gabriel Santos began working with the FBI's white-collar crime division, helping to unravel the complex financial networks Rivera had used to hide his blackmail proceeds. His restaurant empire, now managed by his sisters, established a foundation providing legal support to families affected by medical fraud. What happened at Lake Nona that August evening was more than just a murder. It was the violent culmination of a decades-long scheme that exposed the vulnerable underbelly of medical ethics and the devastating impact of unchecked authority. The Santos family tragedy forced Orlando's medical and social establishments to confront uncomfortable truths about power, trust, and the institutions we rely on for life's most intimate moments. Today, visitors to Lake Nona might notice new security cameras monitoring the 18th hole, a quiet reminder of that fatal evening. The Santos restaurants continue to serve their famous paella, though regular patrons say it's never quite the same as when Gabriel was in the kitchen. And somewhere in the Florida state prison system, a man who once had everything sits in his cell, writing a memoir about how a simple DNA test destroyed 3 generations of the American dream. The question this story forces us to confront isn't just about medical ethics or family secrets. It's about the very nature of truth and identity in an age where a simple swab of saliva can unravel decades of carefully constructed lives. As genetic testing becomes more common, how many other families might be one mailbox away from their own life-shattering revelations? What happened to the Santos family could happen to anyone. In fact, it probably already has. We just don't know about those stories yet. But they're out there, waiting to be discovered, one DNA test at a time. Remember that phone I asked you to check at the beginning of this video? Maybe it's time to ask yourself, how many of your own memories might be hiding secrets that could change everything?